Good evening. This is your guy in the chair, and I am here to tell you the tale of the most devious, evil vampire in all of the cinematic universe and fictional universe. Of course, I am talking about none other than Nosferatu. The most, as I said once before, the most devious, evil vampire in all of the cinematic universe and the fictional universe. But I'm doing a pretty good accent, huh? I think I would make for a very good vampire, personally, but that's not the conversation or that's not the topic of conversation right now. Regardless, let's get on to it. Nosferatu. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, this is my review for Nosferatu, starring Bill Skarsgård, Lily Rose Depp, Willem Dafoe, Emma Corrin, Nicholas Hoult, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ralph Ensign, and it was directed by Robert Eggers himself. And ladies and gentlemen, our story, as simply as I can put it, follows a young lady who has been cursed and haunted by the spirit of Nosferatu, a vampire that is like miles and miles away from her, but she called out to bro one night, and bruh has been obsessed ever since. And now basically what the plot of this movie is her husband that she is currently married to goes out to essentially try to bring Count Orlok back, not knowing that he's a vampire just yet, but he is basically sent out on a mission to bring Count Orlok to where she currently lives so that he can be with his bride forever and ever. That's the best way I can put it, because I don't think if I go any further. I think if I go any further, it might be getting into spoiler territory. So we're just gonna leave it at that. Basically, this is how not to do long distance relationships. This is one of the most toxic long distance relationships you will ever see in the movies, and yeah, that's the best way to put it. So look, guys, let's get straight into it. A lot of hype has surrounded this movie before and after it came out, because anybody who saw the Nosferatu trailer saw the same thing as I did. Not only one of the greatest trailers to ever be put on a big screen, regular screen, little screen, regardless. It's one of the best trailers I've ever seen in my life. But beyond that, Robert Eggers' name being attached to it gave us all the spine-chilling goosebumps we needed to be so ridiculously hyped for this movie. Because if you've seen Robert Eggers' work, if you've seen The Witch, if you've seen Lighthouse, if you've seen The Northman, you understand that giving this man the opportunity to tell a Nosferatu story, especially like old school horror, like really, really old school, yeah, we knew that Robert Eggers was going to deliver. And he did. He definitely did. Do not get me wrong. However, I'm first going to talk about what I didn't like about this movie, because I feel like I can just get that out of the way, because there's a lot of things I loved about this movie. But as far as what I did not like, there are mainly just two things. Now that I've gotten a chance to be able to watch this movie twice, there are only two things I don't like about this movie. And the first thing is my fault. I let the hype get to me. I let the hype like really, and I did a very good job of this with Long Legs, not necessarily letting that get to me, but because this was Robert Eggers, I let the hype get to me. And the movie for me is not a 5 out of 5. I'll reveal my score at the end of this, but because the movie was not a 5 out of 5, I at first left a little disappointed, because I wanted this movie to be my favorite movie of the year. I wanted it to at least be in my top 3. It's in my top 10, but it wasn't where I personally wanted it to be. And because my expectations were so high and they weren't necessarily met, it came fairly close, but they just weren't necessarily met. And so for those reasons, I was a little disappointed. But like I said, that's mainly on me. I let the hype get to me, and I had completely not fooled myself, but I completely put myself in a mental state where I thought this was probably going to be one of the greatest movies of the decade, which it's definitely, it probably, it could be in the conversation for sure. It made, like, when the decade's over, will it still be there for me personally? Maybe, maybe not. But it could definitely be in the conversation for one of the greatest movies of the decade. Now, a second thing that I would say is completely wrong with this movie. And wait, let me address one of the greatest movie of the decade conversation statement that I just made, because that is kind of hyping this movie up a lot. And I'm not saying that this movie doesn't deserve the hype or the praise that it's getting, because there are a lot of things good about this movie. There are a lot of things that are great about this movie. It's just as far as like all that hype is concerned, it didn't meet that for me, but I can definitely still agree and be reasonable enough to say that it is one of the best movies of the year. It definitely is one of the best movies of the decade. Like that none of that is a false statement. It's just the hype that was surrounding it made me think it was going to be the best or the movie of the decade. It's not that. Now, on to the second thing I did not like. And this is honestly my biggest gripe with the movie in general. And I'm going to talk to the historians here for a second. My biggest issue with this movie is the fact that, minor spoiler here, they gave Nosferatu a mustache. And before I go any further on that statement, I understand. Now I understand due to all the people in my TikTok comments. Thank you guys so much for enlightening me on it. The very first original vampire was like Vlad the Impaler or something like that. Let me make sure that's right. Vlad the Impaler. Yeah. Vlad the Impaler, one of the very first vampires with a mustache. Also, according to Bram Stoker, hopefully I'm saying his name right. According to his Dracula tale, Dracula does have a mustache. Now, I did my own research on that. He does have a mustache, but it is a white It's a white mustache, and it's a little thin. It's not the mustache that was given to Nosferatu or Count Orlok in this movie here. This brother has a Ron Burgundy mustache, and it completely took me out of the movie. I really thought that my biggest gripe with the mustache is not the fact that it's historically accurate or necessarily it has nothing to do with the fact that that Robert Eggers was trying to call back to Bram Stoker's original Dracula, the Vlad the Impaler, and essentially the setting that this movie takes place in Germany. There's a lot of people in the area that Count Orlok was in that had mustaches, so he was trying to be very accurate and very honest towards those character designs for Count Orlok. My biggest issue is just that the mustache takes away from this guy being scary. It's as simple as that. When they first show Count Orlok in the shadows and he's having a conversation with Nicholas Holt's character Thomas, and he's being creepy and he's talking with this voice and he's being very slow and very monstrous and demeaning and evil, and you feel all of that creepiness and you feel all of that just weird feeling coming up your spine listening to this guy and just watching him walk around and be creepy. And honestly, Bill Skarsgård giving a damn good performance. Once you have all that settling in and you're getting really creeped out and they're about to show what the guy looks like, they show hints of his mustache, and it completely just took me out of it. I did not think the mustache was scary at all. I personally think, while yes, that is apparently how the original vampires, the original Draculas were like, according to a bunch of people on TikTok and some research that I've done myself, while that is how vampires looked back then, that for me is just not what makes vampires scary at all. I can't take you seriously with a mustache. Yes, majority of the vampires I know up until now, even the Castlevania ones, none of them have mustaches and they are terrifying. Why we needed to give Nosferatu a mustache, or Count Orlok, however you want to say it, why we have to give him a mustache? Because they wanted to be historically accurate. I have no issue with that. That's fine. My biggest issue is it's not scary. That's literally my whole point to that. I'm not worried about it being historically inaccurate. He can have a mustache, I guess. Just the fact that it was so thick and so bushy, it really took away from the fact of how devious and menacing this character was. I really thought this dude could have been 40 times more scarier had they just taken away the mustache. I really would have enjoyed that, and I would have enjoyed if they showed a little more of his teeth, some actual fang action. I would have enjoyed that, but I'm not really faulting the movie for that at all. The only thing I really just don't like is the fact that they gave his brother a Ron Burgundy mustache. It's too big, it looks like a squirrel's on his face, and it takes me out of the scenes every single time that I see it. However, that is everything I did not personally like about the movie, and like I said, the first thing was my fault. I fell into the hype. But do not get me wrong. This is still an incredible movie. It is a phenomenal movie as far as I'm concerned, because starting with the cinematography, the way this movie looks is out of this world gorgeous. I mean, the black, the gray, the dark melancholy color schemes, everything just looks like a Edgar Allan Poe poem brought to life, and it's one of the most beautiful things I've seen all year. The cinematography is out of this world. There is one particular shot in general where Nicholas Hoult is walking in the woods, and it's like expanded on him. Like you can only see like his little body from back here, but like the woods, everything in the back is dark and gray and mysterious and mystical. And then you got horses coming out of the tunnel. One of the best shots I've seen all year. One of the most gorgeous shots I've seen all year. And beyond that, all of the shots they have, especially in the beginning when they have Lily Rose Depp come out of the dark and go, come to me. It's so gorgeous. It's so well put together. Robert Eggers absolutely delivered a majestical looking movie. It was so cool. And even and it's dark. It is a really dark movie, but I mean, where literally the title or the catchphrase, not a catchphrase, but the title on the poster literally says, or not the title, but the saying on the poster, I don't know what the word is. It's telling us to succumb to the darkness. Well, I succumbed. I succumbed a few times, and I damn near needed to change my pants after some point because I was succumbing to the darkness so much, I was losing my mind in there. It was amazing. It was truly an amazing movie to look at. Beyond that, the performances, out of this world. The performances in this movie are so much fun. Before I get to Lily Rose Depp and Bill Skarsgård, because that's who everybody's been talking about, being able to watch this for a second time, I was actually able to appreciate Nicholas Holt's character so much more. Like the fear in his eyes, there's this one scene in particular where he's sitting by a fire and Count Orlok is slowly walking towards him with his hand out like this, and there's so much terror and fear in his eyes. It's just so awesome to see. And beyond that, when anybody comes across Count Orlok, the fear and the terror that overwhelms them and overcomes them, it's ridiculous to see them dive into that madness or delve. Is it delve or dive? We're just going to say dive. They dive into this madness state, and it's so awesome to see. Beyond that, Willem Dafoe at this point is just, he's been a gift to cinema, but like at this point, literally when Willem Dafoe spoke his first line, everybody in the theater started to laugh. Once they showed him on screen, we all started clapping. People just love Willem Dafoe. This dude is an absolute gem when it comes to cinema and performances, and like he was having the time of his life in this role. Personally, I felt like this role fit him so perfectly. I absolutely loved him as this quack doctor who believes in the occult, and I love the way that Ralph Ineson said that he believes in the occult. It was honestly. That's another thing before I start talking about the rest of these performances. I understand this movie is set in the 1830s, so yes, they talked a certain way, but so forgive me if I sound dumb saying this. The way they talked in this movie was so cool. I thought like there were so many things that were being said that are quotable, things that I'm going to steal. This movie is like unintentionally really funny. This movie, I'm not sure if it's intentionally trying to have comedic relief, but there are a lot of moments in this movie that made me laugh out loud because it is so funny, not only to hear the way these people talk, but essentially just seeing people, like I said, slowly dive into madness. And the other thing I thought that was really funny is back in the 1830s, they don't have a lot of medicine or research on stuff. So anytime anything happens that people think is a bad omen, automatically everybody loses their mind and thinks shit's the plague. It's so funny to watch people just go completely batshit insane without any really logical reason of what's going on. They just hear a rumor and they lose their mind. It's so funny to watch that. But beyond that, Aaron Taylor Johnson, I am so glad he was able to actually have a role like this because Craven completely tried to ruin him. The Fall Guy wasn't necessarily his fault completely. I didn't like his character in The Fall Guy, but I'm so glad Aaron Taylor Johnson was able to do a role like this because now, in 28 years later, your next project, I'm expecting big things. I'm expecting you to get back on track to the actor I know you are because in here, you showed me you are it. You got it. Aaron Taylor Johnson was magnificent in this movie. For me, he stole a couple of scenes, especially towards the end. There's one scene in particular with it's one of his very last scenes. I'll put it that way. I can't necessarily say what happens in that scene, but it's one of his last scenes towards the end of the movie. I thought he was brilliant in the movie. Emma Corrin. I've been saying it since I watched this girl in Murder at the End of the World. Emma Corrin is a superstar. Emma Corrin was so good in this movie. There's one bit of dialogue that she has in this movie that where she's delivering a monologue, basically describing the feeling of having Count Orlok inside her, or like, you know, possessing her in a way that, or basically how the darkness is literally taking over her body, and what she feels like. There's a monologue that she gives describing that feeling, and it's one of the most chilling things I've heard all year, and the way it was delivered was absolutely beautiful. Like I said, the way that these people talk is poetry. It's truly poetry. The delivery of the lines were insane, and Emma Corrin truly delivered an insane performance in this movie. Again, Ralph Ineson did an amazing job. Like I said, this movie is ridiculously unintentionally funny, because there is a moment in this movie where a character eats a bird literally raw. Look, it's like the guy said he was eating them raw. It was so funny the way they were delivering these lines. But there's one case where the dude he's talking about literally eats the head of a bird, and Ralph Ineson just goes, "My good fellow, why would you do that?" Like, it made everybody in the theater just die laughing, because it was like, we were all thinking that. Like, I'm so glad this movie had moments like that where you could actually just sit back and laugh, because it's like these people were tweaking. Nosferatu had Nosferatu had or Count Orlok, however I'm gonna call him Nosferatu. The Nosferatu had these motherfuckers tweaking the fuck out, especially the guy that Simon McBurney, who played Harnock, I think that's his name. Oh my goodness! And he was the motherfucker eating the birds. No, he was tweaking. I mean, he has a lot of funny moments in this movie. I mean, when this dude breaks out of, I'm sorry, let me not get too far into it. There's this one moment he's running into the rain, talking about something. He's coming. He's here. He's a servant of Count Orlok, and he did an amazing job of, honestly, the character that we were presented to when he first showed up versus the character that we see after that first scene is night and day, and he only gets crazier and crazier and crazier. But I do really like the parallel of showing what blind loyalty is, and just devoting yourself to somebody, not really knowing how they feel about you, how they care about you, just being completely loyal to somebody, just very blindly. I love how they use his character for those parallels. Aaron Taylor Johnson and Emma Corrin, I really enjoyed the fact that they used their characters for the parallels, as far as actual, like, being really in love, and then their love slowly turns into, okay, Emma Corrin is really friends with Lily Rose Depp, and she's kind of like, you know, always having her friends back, and Aaron Taylor Johnson's like, yo, like, we don't need to be involved in this whatsoever. So watching their relationship throughout the movie kind of change and be developed was very fun. But let's get on to the people that we have all come to see, the people that everybody is raving about, and it's Lily Rose Depp and Bill Skarsgård. I don't even know who to start with. Personally, I'm going to start with Bill Skarsgård, because Lily Rose Depp was easily the best thing about this movie. Bill Skarsgård, and I do apologize, because I felt like I should have been giving this kid or this guy the praise he deserves for the characters that he portrays. Because when I first watched him as Pennywise in It, I don't know what my mind was thinking, but it just really never registered to me that a guy was actually doing all of this. The facial expressions, the smiling, the crying, everything that Pennywise did in that movie, Bill Skarsgård practically did with his face, his body. He captured it all. And that never truly registered with me until now, because watching him as Count Orlok, I'm like, yo, this dude really goes above and beyond when it comes to embodying characters. He really transforms, he transcends, and it's a gift every single time. Now, I'm going to imagine that this is his voice being used as Count Orlok's as well. It is menacing. It is a perfect voice. It is so scary, so terrifying. I loved everything that Bill Skarsgård brought to the character. I'm not going to blame him for the mustache, because I don't think that was his character choice. And again, I understand that the mustache is historically accurate. However, it just wasn't scary. But Bill Skarsgård did everything he could to bring this character to life, ironically. And honestly, man, just... It was really something to be in awe of, watching not just Bill Skarsgård play Count Orlok, but the lore and everything surrounding him. Like, the entire movie, when people are just talking about Count Orlok, even foreigners, even when Nicholas Holt's character goes on his trip, and there are literally people saying like, "Yo, stay away from that castle. You need to." Oh, I got there. Oh, I got there. Oh, I got there. And she says, "Pray." Like it was so good. Like they were literally building up how scary this guy is. They're building up how evil this guy is. They're building up how powerful he is. They're talking about tales of him and just how much of an effect he has on the people that are around him. It was so incredible. The buildup was great. The storytelling was phenomenal. And then to top it all off, you had Lily Rose Depp. You had Lily Rose Depp give, personally, the best horror performance I've seen all year. One of the best performances in a movie I've seen all year. I am so back and forth on her and Naomi Scott for who gave the best Scream Queen performance of the year. I don't even think, personally, Lily Rose Depp counts as a Scream Queen. But because she didn't do a lot of screaming. I mean, she didn't. She was doing some screaming, but it wasn't the typical screaming. But I go back and forth between those two performances because they are not only some of my favorites of the year, but like Lily Rose Depp, the possession scenes. Oh, she over delivered. Oh no. The possession scenes. Yo, there's literally one part in the beginning of the movie where her butt, like she's looking on the ground shaking, and then her body just completely like transforms into another shit. Like she shapes into a whole other thing, and then she starts shaking like that. I was like, and none of it is CGI. All of it is practical. There's another possession sequence over the bed. Well, she hangs her head down. She comes back up. She's got her eyes in her head, and she's like, like it's all practical. None of that is fake. None of that is CGI'd in. It's all coming from her, and I could do nothing but completely be in awe and astonishment the entire time she was performing. And again, back to the way that they talk in this movie and the way that the lines are being delivered. She has so many different monologues of where she has to tell stories about her dreams and really has to paint a picture for the audience about how vivid they are and how dark and creepy and brooding they are. And she does such a great job at painting such a very melancholy, dull, dark picture of her dreams. And the way she even describes death and the sense of bodies, and just like she gives very vivid imagery when she's delivering these lines, and it's so amazing. Like I said, guys, I truly, like, this movie had a lot of hype surrounding it, but I won't compare it to the Long Legs hype because there is a lot of that hype that is actually correct. There's a lot of the hype surrounding this movie that is actually correct about it. Like, this is Robert Eggers' masterpiece. If I had to personally give a best movie to Robert Eggers thus far, it's definitely this one. I just didn't like a character design choice, and I can't fault the rest of the movie for that because the rest of the movie is really good. Now, however, it does drag at times, but this is a very slow burn movie, and while I wish that it would have picked up in a sense, I think the way that they were telling the story and essentially the way it ended, like I said, after watching it a second time, I appreciate it a lot more and I understand it a lot more because they were telling a certain type of story here. This is very, like I said, this is a toxic relationship gone wrong. And honestly, look, I don't know what type of skills Count Orlok got in person, but brother was making women orgasm from like 30,000 miles away. Like dude, like absolutely just screaming. Yeah, like I said, the movie's crazy, unintentionally funny. There's literally a scene where Lily Rose Depp is in her bed. She's like, he's coming. And Ralph Inson's like, I'll prepare the ether. He's like, I'll take up the ether. Like, it's just so many great moments in this movie, but I will say some of the stuff I felt like was just really overly sexualized, but at the same time, kind of fits. It'll kind of take you out depending. Like there was like a mixture of laughs during those orgasmic spurts. There was some laughs. There was some real seriousness, but honestly, watching it a second time, I can say that I take it a little more seriously. At first, it completely threw me off because I'm like, damn, she's really getting into it. Is Orlok like fucking her? Is it the whole point? And honestly, I lied to you not. There's legit a point in this movie where Willem Dafoe's like, yeah, you gotta let her fuck him. You literally gotta let Nosferatu fuck your wife, man. It is what it is. That's how this has to go. It's so crazy. But at the same time, no, Robert Eggers truly pulled off what I can call a masterpiece, a master class in horror storytelling, a master class in the way a movie looks. I love the nods to all the OG horror movies. I loved all the possession and exorcism scenes, although there wasn't like a lot of exorcist stuff going on, but there were definitely some possession scenes that were out of this world. Robert Eggers delivered in every sense of the word. I just personally fell for the hype, and I got a little too excited for this movie, but it is still a damn good movie. It lives up to a majority of the things that people are saying. It's one of my favorite movies of the year, and for all those reasons and so many more, guys, I'm going to give Nosferatu a 4.5 out of 5 stars. All right, so Nosferatu, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff and so much more. Look, this is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.